So, after a very successful video on how to pass the MRCOG Part 2 exam on your first attempt, I thought I will share my top 5 tips on how to revise effectively so you are ensuring and increasing your chances of passing this exam in your first attempt. So, my first top tip is organize your revision material. Now, what that means is keep everything together and in one place. I had this big, massive folder that I had made for where I had all my revision notes, my notes from my TOGs, my FSRH guideline summaries, my BASH guideline summaries, basically everything I had collected for the part 2 was in one big fat folder. And what that meant was every time I had to sit and revise or I was doing some questions and I wanted to cross-reference and check in my notes, I knew where the information was. So I wasn't having to look up that information in different resources at the time of revising that information. And because you will need to go through that information a couple of times before your exam, it's very, very, very handy and useful to just have it all together. And also for your brain, it's quite nice for you to know that psychologically that all your information is nicely summarized, it's kept in a folder, and this is all what you need to do for the exam. Please, please, please invest in a nice, juicy, big folder that will contain all your notes and will not start ripping things apart or breaking down right before the exam. That's not the kind of stress you want. My next top tip is using flashcards. Now, I don't really care about whether you have an app for a flashcard or you actually physically make small little flashcards, but what I really mean by this is make summary from your notes, because what you can't do is go through the entire guideline every single time you've got to revise. All you can do is bits and bobs. And what you need to have is the important points listed out for you. So every time you look at that flashcard or that piece of paper or that A4 size card or whatever, you just get the main salient points straight away and you don't have to fish out for this information, because the process of fishing out exhausts your mind. So you don't really want to go down that route. You want to have it all nicely laid out for you in a concise manner. And because you would have done that summary or those flashcards, it's a lot easier, and you would know exactly where to find this information. My next top tip is to subscribe to Pass MRCOG and do questions daily. So, what I mean by that is try and be consistent and do something in terms of questions every single evening before your exam. If you at least target 50 questions a day, that's enough. That's enough knowledge for your mind to keep going through the facts and not forgetting the important things that are likely to come up in the exam. But just be consistent. Do not miss on the questions, because it's only by doing the questions and repeating and recalling them you start building memory, and things start to stick to your mind, which is quite a nice feeling. I cannot emphasize this point enough. Be consistent. Consistency wins. And you will notice this in the exam when the exam will ask you for something very common and very rare. So, you need to know everything. And the only way you can know everything is by being consistent. So, revising, whether you revise small amounts or large amounts, doesn't matter, but just revise something every single day, so you are keeping the rhythm up, you're in the habit, you're constantly going through your revision material, so nothing from your memory escapes. So from about 3 months before the exam, you want to sit down and do something every single night. Last but not the least, cover everything. Now, what I mean by that is do not miss out on the Green Top guidelines, do not miss out on your TOG articles, do not miss out on the BASH guidelines, FSRH guidelines. Just do everything, because things will come up from these guidelines, and if you haven't done them, you will lose out. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so I can produce more of this content for you.